And yes, this is another video to Penn. Why? Because I don't know. It seems like I should probably be doing other video responses to other things, but he keeps putting up really good points and really good videos, and so yeah. But anyways, the last video was about voting and people saying that they're voting against something, and I completely agree. I would much rather people go in and vote for something, even if they walked into to vote and didn't vote. If they just took the ballot, walked straight over to wherever you turn the ballot in, and didn't vote for anything, because maybe that way the message would get through, not just to the Republicans and Democrats, because I don't think really they would care, but also maybe to the media. Maybe the media would start saying, wait a minute, you had this many people show up to vote, and the winning candidate is only getting this percentage of cast ballots. That to me sends a much bigger message, and hopefully, though you're asking a lot with the U.S. news media to actually wake up and maybe see something, though you are asking a lot. I mean, this is the same people who would much rather, and not that it's not a travesty or anything like that, they would much rather cover a local news story, because that's exactly what it is when a child is abducted, instead of following things that go on in other countries and maybe why other countries don't like us, instead of just the whole, oh, this country doesn't like us and we need to fix it, and not explaining why they don't like us. Maybe you can't fix it. I have news for everybody. There's probably, if you went around the world, there's probably not anybody that the Republican Party could pick that the world would be happy with. It's just not. It's just not the way it's good. Our approval just for having a leader is not going to go up. You could put a Republican in office and it won't matter, because it's just not going to matter. But a lot of these countries just aren't that way. So there's more to it and you can't even get them to focus on that. You can't get them to focus on real issues. Instead, it becomes news entertainment. I mean, it's a very, when the nightly news starts to look a lot like what the National Enquirer used to be, and the National Enquirer actually starts breaking news stories that you would think that, in a lot of ways, the news should maybe be breaking, then there's a problem with that system. But that's another rant for another time. But anyways, I'm not one of these people that says, because I agree, I have never understood this sort of why vote against something, because, for somebody because you're voting against something else. I've never got that. Either you're voting for, if you're voting for somebody, you're voting for that person, you're voting for that person's policies. You're not voting for, the lesser of two evils. If that's truly what you feel, then find somebody that you feel is truly who represents you and what you think. And if you can't find somebody like that, you don't have, you can still show up at the voting booth, and you don't have to vote for president. You can skip that part, and you can go down, and you can vote for the stuff that you want to vote for, or that you feel comfortable with the knowledge to vote for. You can do those things. So that is something that's always kind of miffed me and always kind of surprised me as well. He also brought up the point of people listening to celebrities, and I would just state, and I'm probably not the only one, and I'm sure I haven't read through the comments on his latest video because I saw it when I first got home and then just passed out after work. But about listening to celebrities, but and I would say that probably the vast majority of people listen to him. If the people from Sony pass this along, not because he's a celebrity, but because they agree with what he says, and what he says is, even when you disagree with him, he brings it to a point that is not necessarily mean-spirited, though sometimes he'll call people stupid who he thinks are stupid and moronic or whatever, but not necessarily mean-spirited. He truly wants things to be better, and he feels like calling things out for them to be better is better. And I think that's why, if you look, you've got I would imagine if you took probably a poll, even though he did a show on polls and showed the polls are BS, and they truly are, well, what was I going to say? Oh, anyways, there's probably a wide spectrum of people that listen to him, at least want to listen to his opinions, think that his opinions are valid even if they don't agree with them. And I think that is ultimately why I myself listen to him. I wouldn't listen to him even if he wasn't a celebrity, he was just on here and I came across him, I'd probably start listening to him on a regular basis, because I think a lot of the stuff that he says makes sense, even the stuff that I don't agree with, and I think he brings valid arguments to the things I don't agree with. I would say, his TV show, his big successful TV show, is proof of that. I don't know how much of that he can that he truly writes. Apparently, I would imagine a lot of it, but it's pretty evident just through that, of the way that they do things. They look at things from different angles. They look at things the way that, I've often said, why doesn't, the news media look at this issue from that angle? If you've never seen one of their shows, you can see one of their shows with those people who are going to watch this. I mean, I'm only getting maybe 100 views. But, and you've never seen King Gillette's show, and I would imagine there's maybe only 5 of you that might come across this video that would do that. I would, check it out on YouTube, particularly I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube, almost every episode, except for the ones containing nudity and pornography, are on YouTube, I believe. Check out the one on the death penalty, because even though I myself am for the death penalty, and for everything that people that probably watch the shows will say after that, I would say that that was one of the best anti-death penalty arguments I have ever heard in my life. And I thought it made a lot of great points. It was points that I myself often thought, why don't the people who are against the death penalty, why don't they bring up these arguments instead of the same old arguments we often hear? And then when something truly catastrophic happens, or something truly horrific happens, particularly in the black community, and I'm not just picking on the black, particularly with the black community, where you always hear them saying, death penalty is evil, bad, all this stuff. And I live in Texas, and when the James Byrd, for those of you that remember that case, happened, I heard a lot of people who were normally anti-death penalty saying, thank God that happened in Texas, because they'll fry the suckers. I mean, that, to me, you have to be consistent in what you say, or you do kind of lose your argument, particularly in a case like that. But anyways, back to my point, as far as listening to celebrities, I completely agree. I don't know why people listen to celebrities, particularly when half the time things they say is, we're not liked. The United States is not liked around the world. And it's like, I'm sorry that our foreign policy is getting in the way of your movie making money overseas. Okay, I'm sorry for that. But instead of simply saying, we're not liked around the rest of the world, why don't we focus on why we're not liked around the rest of the world? Because I think if you focus on that, I think that a lot more Americans would be more pissed off of the rest of the world than more pissed off of their own government over the fact that we're not liked around the rest of the world. Because if you think it's just the war in Iraq, or you think it's just, the war on terror, or you think it's any of that reason is the sole reason we're not liked around the rest of the world, you need to kind of wake up and actually look at a lot of the reasons have a lot of other things to do that people would go, huh? At least in my opinion. Which doesn't matter for a whole lot. But anyways, I've rambled on far too long. And as all I was going to say when I came on here was, I agree, you shouldn't just vote against something, you should vote for something, even if that means, and if you truly feel like you want to vote against something, don't vote, but show up at the voting booth and cast an empty ballot. That way, maybe, and you're asking a huge leap of faith, that the media will catch on and say, wait a minute, there's a problem here. People feel like they're not, being represented. Maybe we should open up the debates to far, far more people, and then maybe people will show up and actually vote for something. Anyways, I'm out. Thank you for your time. Later.